And there it is. It's all about early indoctrination. Hey, look, today on CrossFit.com is the workout Fran. One of the things that we're starting to see is that athletes are getting better and better at Fran, and to make those kind of third wave adaptations, the big changes in performance, you really have to take a step back and work on the small technical aspects and little technical details about improving your performance. Otherwise, you're just a piece of meat kind of within 5 or 10 seconds of your PR. And everyone, I mean, even Pat Sherwood is down in the low twos. I mean, that guy's a freak. So how do we take a guy like Pat Sherwood and be really, really specific about changing his structure and improving his positioning to allow him to express more power? That's the goal today. Starter. I'm just going to show you guys, in case you haven't made a set yet, 2 lacrosse balls, 2 balls of hard durometer, measure of hardness. I'm going to come back in, I'm going to wrap this ugly tape around it. We have about $2 invested in this piece now. I'm going to wrap around this direction. If you don't have one of these, you've got to do it. And you got to get the lacrosse balls or something hard. If you're, a soft person and you can't take it, suck it up. Obviously, tennis balls work just fine if you think you're going to break. But you've got to make a pair. Boom. So here's the thing is, what we're going to focus on today is being in a better rack position. So that in this position, the thruster is such a great tool, kind of an instrument of illumination, because if I'm in a bad position on the thruster, what ends up happening is that my shoulder comes forward, and then I have a difficult time coming to overhead position. I waste a lot of time because the barbell is out in front. Also, the thruster tends to magnify shoulder problems because of the intense compromise of having to front squat and then be in a quick press position. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to try to kind of work on being in a tighter rack position so that I can keep loading my heels, get that posterior chain more engaged. The thruster is inherently a quad dominant exercise, but we want to get as much back as we can. Remember Dave Tate looking critically at Greg Amundsen, and Greg was on his toes. Even though he has a 2-minute Fran, he's spending a lot of time forward on his toes. That's a lot of energy spent keeping that load upright. This is going to aggregate into significant change. So here's what we're doing. Number 1 today, you've got to spend. By the way, meet Jupiter, Starrett, new dog, the MobilityWOD, the Starrett house. You're going to spend 2 or 3 minutes today working. Oh, it's already heat. It already belongs. We're starting on extending. So I want you to hug yourself for starters. Hey, what's up, buddy? Excuse me. You're famous already. Overextending. So I'm going to start with the flex position, and I'm going to come up and try to extend over those segments. Flexed and extend. Flex, extend 2 or 3 times at each level, trying to extend over. Then I'm going to tie my hands back in. So if this takes you 5 minutes, that's okay. Yesterday at the clinic, I saw 4 athletes who had extreme stiffness in the thoracic spine, limits their shoulder positioning, and really, really trashes kind of performance. Okay, so that's homework number 1. Again, rock to overhead. Number 2, I want to illustrate kind of the rack position problem. If my shoulder is in a bad or soft rack position, I'll do it on this side, you can see it more effectively. My shoulder is in a soft or rack position. This is where we typically see athletes thrusting. You'll see that my shoulder is in front of the position, right? This doesn't look like a bad rack position. The problem is I can't press very effectively in this position. What I need to be able to do is transmit a good front rack into a tighter shoulder position so that I can press up effectively. We call this on the shelf or an organized shoulder, where I've externally rotated, the shoulder is back and being supported by the joint. Can I support a load here? Absolutely, especially if I have to compromise. But getting the shoulder back means I have instantaneous power output. All right? So let's get you spending some time opening this up. You can attach this down. We want to hook the hand, flip this over, and just open up here some of these kind of, these tissues that may be limiting. All right? So let's spend some time in this position, 2 or 3 minutes. Finally, let's work on the wrist. So to do this, if you don't have a parallel bar, take this. I'm going to slam it in the door. Now we're tight. Band pulls away from the hand, anchor down. The band is pulling the wrist back in that direction. I anchor the wrist, and I'm just going to work on a little bit of wrist flexion, which is going to translate directly into better, improved positioning. So band away from the direction of the hand. That helps that roll, slide, and glide. And then I'm just going to fulcrum right on the kind of hand crease here. 2 minutes each side. What you're going to see is this position dramatically improved, better power output, PR on your Fran. We'll see you tomorrow.